The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 90 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Thursday, December 27th, 2018. I'm your host, Eric Young. I am joined by my co-host, James Cush. James, I don't know if I remember how to do this. It's been so long.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, too, I had a bet that we would not make it to 100 episodes. It's like somebody would find us and get us fired or something.
Who was your bet with?
I went to Vegas and I put the odds down. And we're getting darn close.
Yeah, we've only got 10 to go, so.
Yep, I think I'm going to lose that bet.
You might. Now I'm going to make it my personal goal to make sure you do.
Okay, good. Well, see, your 100th episode is going to come earlier than my 100th episode.
That is true.
See, I'm going to be like at 102 for my 100 episodes.
Right. Yeah, I do have 2 on you.
Yep. So I got some time there.
Yes. So we haven't been on for a couple weeks, and we tried to do last week, but it just didn't work out. So we're back here between Christmas and New Year's, and we got some stuff to talk about. James, there's some news, not anything gigantic, not anything earth shattering, but we got some news to discuss, and then we're gonna rank our top 5 races of the 2018 season. We did it after the season last year as well. Thought it'd be fun to do. I had a tough time coming up with my list, to be honest, because there were moments I remembered and things, but I think too much of it is already a distant memory. So short of like spending hours doing research on it, I put together, I mean, I know what my number 1 is. That one was pretty easy. Yeah. But the rest of them were kind of, what I could remember and whatnot. But we'll get into that when we get there. But let's talk about some news first. Actually, before we were ready to record last week and then didn't get a chance to do it, NASCAR announced start times for 2019. Okay. Yes. I mean, not much has changed. I think the big thing is, what is it? Vegas is in the nighttime now in the playoffs.
There's a little bit of fiddling around with some like late start times.
Yeah. But it's
because of the West Coast. There's going to be a West Coast race that'll be running the day, but it'll be nighttime for the East Coast type of thing.
And then Martinsville's race is going to be a half hour later in the fall, so it will end more under the lights than it currently does. So that's kind of cool. Yeah,
that will be good. I do like that. There's a lot of late start times on here this year, though. Really, East Coast time late, not West Coast time late.
I think this Aero package is going to lend itself to night racing better, too, because it's going to be less concern about handling because it's not going to come into play as much as it did previously. So it used to be you'd run the cars at night, they'd handle too good, and the race wouldn't be as good at night. Now it'll almost be better because it's going to bunch people up more, you would think, and make things more interesting like the All-Star race was. So we'll see. We'll see if more races shift to night in the future. I kind of feel like, I was looking forward to seeing the start times announced because I was looking forward to something like Chicagoland in the middle of summer where it was 110 degrees outside to see that shift to nighttime. But that one's staying where it was last year, and we'll run it in the heat again one more time. And I don't know. I feel like in the summer, some of these tracks, especially when it's hot out, just run the things at night. You got lights, run them at night. But I don't know.
I hate that all the start times are after 2:00.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, James,
really chaps my what.
Several years ago, I went out to LA, and it was during the MIS August weekend, and I got up in the morning, turned on the TV at 10:00 in the morning, watched the race, finished it, and then had my entire afternoon.
Yes.
It was so nice. Like, anybody who complains about being on the West Coast, don't complain about it, man. It's nice to get this stuff out of the way early.
Can't we have noon and 1:00 start times? Why does it have to be 2 and 3,
Dude,
3:30?
10:00 on a Sunday. I mean, I guess that's church. You don't want to interfere with church, but man, it was nice. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
Well, if you put a race at 2:00, it kills your whole day because it's too late after the race is over to do anything, but there's not enough time beforehand to do anything either.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not a fan of okay, I don't want the race going through dinner time. It either needs to start after dinner time or finish before dinner time, because what happens is my family's knocking on the door with 30 to go saying, what are we doing for dinner? And it's like, no, hold on. The race is finally getting good. Like,
right.
I mean, that's the moment when you want to watch the race, is the last 30 to 50 laps.
Exactly.
And that's happening during dinner time. Everybody's bugging you to cook. So I say that like I cook a lot, but
this is, but this, I was thinking about the schedule release the other day, that this is probably our last blah schedule release for the foreseeable future, right? Like NASCAR's promising we're going to get good updated schedules here. This is the last time we're going to get
I have been
schedule.
On this updated schedule bandwagon before, though.
Yeah, that's true.
And we've been disappointed. They've shifted like 2 race weekends and like maybe made a race on Saturday instead of Sunday. Like I'll believe it when I see it, man. I hope we get a big shakeup, but there's just so many things in play to shake up the schedule. And it seemed like there was a lot of talk about reducing dates and shortening the schedule, but now I don't know what you've heard, and I think we're going to talk about social media in a little bit. I haven't followed much on there, but from what I've seen, it kind of seems like that talk's slipping away, and that we're not talking about shortening up the schedule anymore. So
yeah, they're just trying to keep the dates that they have, the number of dates that they have.
Right.
They don't want to lose them.
Right.
I don't know, but I think you and I disagree. I think the NASCAR season should be 8 to 10 races shorter. And I know you're a proponent of we want more.
Yeah, I'd add 10 more.
Yeah, see, I'm of the mindset that less is more.
How many races does the World of Outlaws run in a year?
Oh God, over 100.
I mean,
there's a handful of people who pay attention to every single World of Outlaws race.
True, and I'm not saying we run 100 some races a year, but I don't see a problem with 36 to 40 of them.
Yeah.
I just don't. How many baseball games does a team play in a year?
And nobody's watching that either.
How many hockey games does the NHL play in a year?
Nobody's watching that either.
Oh, some people. The diehard hockey fans watch that.
The NFL, college football, and
yeah, but the NFL would have longer seasons too if the players could survive it.
Right, but
the only reason they don't have longer seasons is because the players would be dead if they played 18 weeks or 20 weeks.
True.
I mean, seriously, their brains cannot handle that much impact for that long.
They'd make as much money as their brains can't handle the impact that they have now.
Exactly.
But they would take as much money as they could get.
Right.
But they're also they're like the world power of sports. They can pretty much dictate whatever they want.
Yeah, that's changing too. But
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, not a whole lot of earth shattering here. Like I said, pretty much Vegas and Martinsville are interesting. Daytona stays the same.
Homestead's opening weekend of Michigan's rifle season, which always makes me mad. It's on the 17th this year. God dang it.
What is more important, James, hunting or racing?
Opening day is pretty...
You're on a racing podcast, man. You better pick your words wisely.
It's pretty important. But so is championship weekend. So
yeah,
I don't want to get...
I missed a hockey game last year for Homestead, so I don't want to hear it, man.
That's very important. That is very important.
It's the championship.
Go to like 70 hockey games a year. You can
not quite, but pretty close.
You can miss one.
This one was not a surprise, but maybe was a bit of a surprise to see in like actual writing and in a story.
Yeah, really cool. I like this one.
A lot of talk in the succession of these teams. We've talked on this podcast of how long are people like Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske and those guys going to be around. So basically the question was asked, and this is I don't know if this originated from ESPN, but the story I have is from ESPN, basically going down Rick Hendrick, Richard Childress, Roger Penske, and what will happen to them should something happen or should they retire or whatever. And of course the talk all revolved around Hendrick Motorsports. And basically, Hendrick joked. He says, I got to be out here at least 1 year longer than Roger Penske. So
yeah,
I thought that was funny. But he basically said, that he has no intention of going anywhere. He's healthy. He's going to be around for a while. But the original plan was for Ricky Hendrick to take over the company. Obviously, Ricky passed away in 2004 in the plane crash on the way to Martinsville. And the talk is that Jeff Gordon's going to take it over, which I find really interesting because when Gordon was just on Junior's podcast? Yeah, Gordon was on Junior's podcast, and Junior was talking to him about it, and Gordon was saying, looking at what Junior has at JRM, he's interested in, being involved and stuff, but he doesn't want to have that on his shoulders. And then like 2 weeks later, this story comes out that he's the guy to take over Hendrick. So is this a Hendrick plan that Gordon isn't involved in, or was Gordon just quiet about that? I mean, Gordon's going to do what Hendrick says. He said it on Junior's podcast, which if you haven't listened to Junior and Gordon on Dale Junior's podcast, check it out. It's excellent.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think this surprises anybody, right?
No, and it's not going to, Jeff Gordon in the leadership role is not going to look like what JRM is. I mean, Junior's not really, if you think about it, Junior's not really that involved with
Junior.
JRM.
Admittedly, does not run that organization. He's there to get the sponsors. His sister runs the organization.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon's going to be kind of that face. There's people in charge that, it's same with Stewart Haas Racing. Tony Stewart's the, kind of the big guy in charge with Gene Haas, but there's a lot of smart people in the background, and Jeff Gordon can handle that role easily.
Yeah, that's the thing that people need to understand is these organizations. Well, there's a name attached to the title of the organization. It's not like it was back in the day where the one guy runs the show. I mean, these are multi-million-dollar corporations that are run by multiple people and run by a board and things like that, there's succession plans in place that something happens to Rick Hendrick, there's people to step into that role regardless. So
and if you think Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus won't have leadership roles too someday.
Exactly.
And if Dale Jr. probably, if he ever wanted something with Hendrick, I'm sure he could even, if he wanted to do more. I mean, there's going to be leadership opportunities for, these drivers and other members of the team that have meant so much to Rick over the years.
I know Junior said a million times he has no interest in coming to the Cup Series, but I'm sorry. I think 10, 15 years down the road, we see Junior Motorsports in the Cup Series.
Yeah, they'll be there at some point.
I just feel it's going to happen. It's not going to be something that happens next year. I think there's more of a chance of seeing Junior Motorsports in the Cup Series than KBM, James.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, this article also talks about Richard Childress. Childress says that they've got a succession plan in place. He's not going to go into it, but basically says they had a plan when Earnhardt passed away to keep going, and they've got a plan now. And
all of these teams have had succession plans basically foisted by people passing away.
Yep.
Which is kind of crazy. Not so much for Joe Gibbs, but even his son JD is going through some pretty nasty stuff with his. I'm not sure. I don't want to misspeak on what his issue is. I know it has to do with the brain.
Right.
But he was in line to be in charge, and Joe's been in charge too for forever. So. Jack Roush, I know he's probably got some plans in place as well. But really we've talked, like you said, we've talked about it here before. Tony Stewart's the next generation up as far as powerhouse. He's built his powerhouse, and he's just going to have to, sustain for the next 20, 30 years, whatever that may be. So,
right. And I just used my awesome journalism skills to find the link at the bottom of this article that was on Jayski with the source, which is an Auto Week article. So I'll give them credit. Auto Week did this. And there's, it's really interesting because ESPN had an author on the article, and all it is just taking from this article. Okay. The journalist in me is really annoyed with that. So anyway, so
welcome to 2018 in sports media.
God, in journalism, period. It's ridiculous. We used to call that plagiarism, folks.
Yes.
Now it's just it's what do they call it?
Aggregating.
Yes, aggregation. Yeah. It's not plagiarism anymore. So as long as you put a link in it, you can steal whatever you want to steal.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he goes down the list. Let's see who wrote this article. It doesn't say. Okay, well, at least somebody got some credit for it then. Anyway, it goes down the list of the different owners in the sport. Richard Childress, Team Penske, Joe Gibbs, Roush Fenway, Richard Petty, the whole way down the road. So check it out. The link will be in the show notes, and I'll put the correct link in the show notes to the Auto Week article, so you guys can check it out if you want to know more about what the succession plans are for these different teams throughout the series. So safe to say everybody's got a plan in place, and they know what they're doing. So it's good.
Right on.
Let's see. Advanced Auto Parts Clash at Daytona. We won't be long. We'll be previewing that sucker. 20 drivers eligible to start that.
They fiddled with the rules again.
Of course they did. Why wouldn't they?
Every year.
Yep.
Fiddling with the rules.
Yep.
Gets our playoff drivers in.
Let's see. What they do, James? What they change on the rules here?
They added the playoff drivers. So if you made the playoffs, you're in. So that puts Almirola, Boyer, and Keselowski in, who they would not have been in last year.
I'm happy with whatever gets 20 drivers in this race. If you put less than 20 drivers in this race, it already has lost its luster as far as the fans. There's nobody shows up to this thing to come watch it. I have a feeling this race, the days of this race are numbered, or at least the days of this race not on Daytona 500 weekend are numbered. But so Pole Award winners: Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Paul Menard, Daniel Suarez, and Martin Truex Jr. are all eligible. Jamie McMurray and Ryan Newman as past Daytona 500 champions. Past Daytona 500 pole winners: Austin Dillon and Jimmy Johnson. And then the playoff drivers: Eric Almirola, Clint Boyer, and Brett Keselowski. Surprisingly, they didn't change the rules this year to make Jeff Gordon or Dale Earnhardt Jr. eligible. So
right, yeah. Why are Austin Dillon and Jimmy Johnson listed under the pole award winners? They have 3 Daytona 500 wins between them.
I don't know.
Whatever. This doesn't matter. Whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
However you got to spin it, NASCAR.
Yep.
Put them out there.
Yep. Hey, now is this James or is this what's his name? Nick Bromberg.
Bromberg? Oh, he's on a roll lately.
I haven't been following him, so I've been much happier.
Yes, he has his negative stat of the day, which I really I really love.
I can't take it.
So great. So great.
All right. Anything else with the Clash? We'll be previewing it in a couple weeks.
We'll preview that later. Yeah.
Way too soon. We'll be previewing that. Although I'm ready. Man, I'm sick of not having racing. I'm so sick of it.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? There's something I'm going to add to this news list at the end, but we'll get to it. I'll surprise you with it.
Cool. I'm in.
Another one, which when you messaged me that this was news, I was like, didn't we already know this? But apparently it wasn't official. Daniel Hemrick going to drive the number 8 for RCR in 2019, unlike the way I've got it in the show notes, it's 2018.
We're in that transition too.
Yeah. Right. Anything we're talking about there? We got, like I said, I
car
thought it
looks
already
cool.
happened. Yeah, it's a cool looking car.
Cool. I like that they brought the number 8 out. I don't think it's a big deal.
Like
junior
the
fans
style
get all
of the 8.
Yeah, junior fans get all bowed up about the 8, but they can't use the style.
Right.
So
I'm still of the mindset that they need to do like Supercross and attach the numbers to the drivers. Not that it would matter in this situation, because Junior would still lose his number. He hasn't been in the series. But I hate these drivers moving and changing numbers. It bugs me. Let them keep the number. So this one I'm pretty excited about, James. I don't know about you, but the Darlington Throwback Weekend this year going to celebrate the 1990 to 1994 era.
The best era.
It is. I'm so excited. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be like I'm thrilled, man. It's gonna be the best throwback yet.
Yeah, 1990 through 2004, 2005 are my favorite. That's my favorite time.
See, this
in
is
NASCAR history. So this is right at the front end of the book here.
This is my era because I started watching. My first NASCAR race was 1989. This is right front loaded at the beginning of my NASCAR time. I had the Racing Champions car sets with these paint schemes that are going to be in this. This
is my era too. Right? My first seasons that I remember are 91, 92, 93. So
yeah,
this is it. Kyle Petty, Davey Allison, Ernie Irvan. Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
This is good. Yep. Can't wait to see what they come up with this year.
So let's see. I'm trying to do a search for the story I'm going to talk about here in a minute. Jamie McMurray. We finally found out what McMurray is going to do next year. He is going to be an analyst for Fox, not Fox News, Fox NASCAR coverage. Basically Race Hub and NASCAR Race Day, I think it is, right?
Yeah, he'll be good. I think he's going to be great.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. That's good for him.
He's going to transition to TV. Really, I think he would be good in the booth, but there's just no room in the end for a booth guy right now.
No, but when Jeff Gordon steps away to take over Hendrick Motorsports, maybe there'll be a spot there. Because
Darrell Waltrip, whatever. I'm sorry. Let's not go down that road. We don't need to do that.
Don't get me going. Don't get me going.
No, we got plenty of time. He's coming back soon.
Yeah, can't wait. That was the most disappointing thing about the end of the season. I might have said it in the last podcast.
Yeah, NBC was great. Yeah.
They did such a good job. AJ Allmendinger, we also find out what's going to happen with him. He will be on NBC Sports.
He's doing
sports car and NASCAR coverage.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. He's kind of going to be like the hybrid announcer. He's going to kind of float between a bunch of different series.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But that's the way he was as a driver as well. So
exactly, it makes the most sense.
Yeah, he'll be able to fit right in with IndyCar coverage. NBC's taken over that.
Yep.
So he can step in kind of anywhere.
NBC is taking over. NBC is becoming Speed, which is awesome.
Yeah, they should. Fox probably doesn't want to give up their rights, but I'd like to see NBC just get the NASCAR rights and be done with it.
That would be pretty great. I bet you anything they'll be bidding hard for it when that comes about. Again, I don't know when that is, but
you got some time.
Yeah, I figured it'll be a while. Kasey Kahne, we know what he's going to do. I have in the show notes, and I think this is the best way to explain it. He's going to do a butt ton of sprint car races in 2019.
Yeah.
World of Outlaws and All-Star Sprints, Circuit of Champions. So lots of sprint car racing for old Kasey Kahne.
Yeah, we're going to see him and Tony Stewart duking it out again.
Yep.
That's going to be pretty cool. I love they did a paint scheme reveal and everything for his sprint car. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Looking forward to seeing him spread the gospel on the local short tracks.
Yes, I agree. Kasey, it's good to see him. You see some of these guys that maybe struggle at the end of their Cup careers and kind of go out not wanting to go out, or you see him cling around or whatever. And Kasey's going out doing the thing he wants to do, which is awesome. Just like Stewart did, really. I mean, except Stewart didn't suffer at the end of his career. I mean, he did, but it was his own doing.
Wow, that's a whole nother. That's a podcast all of its own at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Tony actually created the retirement model a little bit here. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. These guys retiring at a younger age, and just going out and running a bunch of sprint car races.
Yep, go have some fun.
Yeah, pretty cool.
This is the Kyle Larson path too. I guarantee you, this is a path he'll take. Probably sooner than you expect it. I'm not saying he's going to do it.
Yeah, and he's said as much. Really,
he's in the Cup Series for a decade yet, but when he steps away, this is the route he's going to go.
So he has said that he wants to run for the World of Outlaws championship at some point. So I could see him maybe in his mid to late 30s.
What about the old man Jimmy Johnson saying he wants to run an IndyCar race?
That would be cool. I don't think his wife's going to let him, but he could run a road course probably.
Yeah.
Street course.
I don't know, man. There's some hairy stuff that happens in the.
Got that F1 bug.
Yeah, at least the F1's got the halo though.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
well, he'll be done in 2 years. I think that's done. I think that's already set in stone.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He's got the Ally sponsorship for 2 years, and that's going to be the end of old Jimmer. Yep. He'll be off doing whatever he wants.
Yep, I agree. Looking more and more like NASCAR is going to come back to Nashville Fairgrounds.
Yep, that's good.
No, there's a ton here to say, but the Bristol Motor Speedway folks have basically made it official that they're working to bring them back. Blah blah blah. So, it's just kind of an update on what we already know, which is pretty good. I think it's a foregone conclusion. We're going to see some NASCAR there. Who knows if we can get Cup there? I'd love it. I don't know if we can.
Not by 2020, probably 2022.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I'll tell you what, guys, if you're listening to this podcast, I know we don't have a giant listenership, but if you're listening to this podcast and you want NASCAR racing back at Nashville, when the trucks go there or the Xfinity cars go there, freaking get in the seats. Because if you fill that place, they'll bring the Cup Series there. If you don't, if it becomes another Rockingham, it's going to go away. It'll be something they try, and they'll scrap it for a place that they can fill the seats. So, it's you got to show up for it if you want it to happen, and it's not going to be good enough. I mean, I guess if you can't make it to the race, at least turn your TV on, leave it on the channel. Maybe if you got a couple TVs in your house, put them on. Get the ratings up.
Speaking of The Rock, this isn't in the show notes, but they are throwing out a bunch of hints that they're coming back in a big way.
Nice.
I would venture to guess that they've got NASCAR aspirations down the road here too. Not too far along the road.
I would love to see the Cup cars back there. That track, the truck race they ran there wasn't the greatest. The ARCA race wasn't spectacular, but the Cup cars at Rockingham are I mean, I don't know now. It's a completely different car, but back then in that old Gen 4, 3, 2, I don't know what the heck Gen it was, but that body style, the old Wicked Twister, Twisted Sister, or whatever the heck they called it, that car was great at the Rock.
And devil's advocate for you.
Yeah.
I don't think butts and seats mean as much to any of these tracks anymore as they used to.
No, that's why I said ratings. At least turn the TV on and watch the race.
Yes.
They need the ratings. They need an audience, whether it's audience
interest.
at the track or audience on the TV. There needs to be an audience.
Everybody's looking for the Roval.
Yep.
That's the golden goose that everybody's trying to catch. What is our version of a Roval?
Yep.
Where's that at? That's what they're doing.
I'll tell you what, that Roval, one of the greatest things to happen in NASCAR right now, because it's opened the box. You know, just like the Truck Series at Eldora did. It opened the box. Now there's more room to look outside and see what will work. I think the only way the Truck Series at Eldora would have been better is if it would have happened if they were to do it now for the first time versus when they did it, because when they did it, the popularity was still there. It's dwindled a lot more since. If they did something like that now and it got the turnout that it did, we'd be looking really hard at. I guess I need to turn the notifications off here. We'd be looking really hard at running Cup or Xfinity on dirt.
I think people might forget how big of a pop that first couple of years that the Truck Series was running Eldora really was.
That first year, man, that place was packed. It was sold out. They had the Hollywood Hotel and everything there. Everybody who was anybody was there.
We got a picture with Jeff Gluck.
Yes.
Game.
Yep. Yeah, they got Jeff Gluck out there.
He never goes out to. At that time, he never went dirt track racing. Now he's all over the place. But,
right. Yeah. Now you don't know. And then he just recently posted he might be going all over the place again this year and doing a lot more than just NASCAR. So
good for him.
Exactly. Yeah. If that's what the fans want, people are. I mean, his bosses are paying a salary. And it's his readers. So if they want him to do that stuff, awesome. More power to him.
Yep. Please.
So, yep. Yeah. And that exposure from a hard hitting, well-known NASCAR journalist, that's good for NASCAR and it's good for the other series as well. So we all need to, motorsports needs to work together. Those days of, I'm a dirt track fan, not a NASCAR fan and all that stuff. You got to throw that out the window, man. If you're still doing that, you're not helping the sport.
Yep. So, I agree.
I guess I saved the biggest for last, James. Corey LaJoie running for Go Fast Racing in 2019 full time. So there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LaJoie it's actually that is actually a pretty big deal. That team is not. That team's not. They're not a joke team.
They're not a field filler anymore.
No.
So
they're not a Starcom or they put together some pretty good runs. Matt DiBenedetto was. Definitely punching above his weight class from time to time.
Right.
So
they're not putting together race winning cars, but they're putting together top 20 cars.
Yeah. And Corey LaJoie is a solid talent. He'll be good. He'll be good for them. They're not going to win races, but they might surprise you at a time or two.
Yep. There was a prediction that I'm going to throw out here right now. That our buddy Todd made. Todd, a big fan of the show. And one of our biggest supporters, our lone patron. So Todd threw this out, speaking of Go Fast Racing and their former driver, Matt DiBenedetto. He is predicting that Matt DiBenedetto sneaks into the playoffs next year. What are your thoughts on that, James?
Oh, boy.
I told him that Danica Patrick has a better chance of making the playoffs next year.
For the record... You were the only Danica Patrick supporter that I ever ran into.
She's not racing, so obviously she can't qualify. I don't think I have as good a chance as Matt DiBenedetto does at getting into the playoffs.
Listen, man, if I don't want to take shots at this is not a shot at talent, but if Austin Dillon's making the playoffs with what he's driving, I would say there's a good there are odds.
Do you think that team with what they have with Joe Gibbs support, you think they're equivalent or superior to what Richard Childress is putting on the track?
Not in 2019.
Right. That's what we're talking about though. It's 2019.
But
Matt DiBenedetto is going to bring them some good finishes, and they're going to make some money off Matt DiBenedetto. And that's going to help them get where they need to be.
Well, here's the thing. Matt DiBenedetto is going to move up the finishing results sheet every week.
Right.
From where he was now. His average finish will be better. And with that, there could come a day. Paul Menard has a win in this series, That's all I'm going to say.
This is going to go against my claim.
If Paul Menard can get a win in this series, I could get a win in this series.
Oh, man.
Someday.
All right. This is going to go against my claim because it's going to completely counter what I'm saying. But Matt DiBenedetto is that team's Regan Smith for Furniture Row.
Sure.
He's there to build up the team, help, get some funding there, have a couple decent finishes, and be the stopgap for the big driver that's going to come along 3 years from now. That's going to fill that role and take it to the next level. But then again, Regan Smith won a race, so
yeah, that is, and he won one of the big ones, Southern 500. That was not a restrictor plate race either.
Yeah, and he didn't slip into that either. He won that.
He was good.
He
and
Kurt
Busch was really good with them, even though he didn't win a race too.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see. I think Matt DiBenedetto is a talented driver. I don't think he's at the level to win in the Cup Series. So we shall see.
I just think, I don't know.
So put it on the line, James. Does he get it? And I don't want to hear he's got a chance because everybody's got a chance to get in the playoffs. Does he get in the playoffs next year?
I'll go with Todd. I'll say Matt DiBenedetto gets in.
And
I will put it. And you hold me to this because we do our predictions every year.
Yep.
I'll put him in.
Okay.
I'll put him in.
It ain't gonna happen.
He can be my wild card guy.
All right. It ain't gonna happen. So. Which
Somebody's
means it will. It means it will because
it could happen.
All right. So after that tangent, I want to throw one more thing here in the news because this is not NASCAR news, but it is something that will, it may affect NASCAR news down the road. So and it's motorsports news. So, I follow Supercross and I'm a fan of Supercross. We've talked about a few things on here from Supercross. So Supercross announced that they have moved from Fox Sports. They are with NBC Sports now for the 2019 season, which starts here in just a couple weeks. They've started with the NBC Gold. They have a package now. They're going to tape delay a bunch of their races on NBC Sports and on NBC's on the big network. But if you have an NBC Gold subscription, which they're offering right now for $90, you can get the Supercross and Motocross seasons, or I think it's $75 for just a Supercross season. You can watch the qualifying during the day live. You can watch the races live, and then you get the on-demand stuff afterwards as well. It's interesting because if Supercross can pull it off, might NASCAR be able to pull something off like this in the future, and might it be something that we see in the future from NASCAR?
You know what? You and I have talked about this before on this podcast.
Yeah.
When they first announced it, remember last year, it was kind of like this underground thing that they were going to do and see what it did. It must have made enough money that they are going to go for it.
Yep.
They wouldn't just do it because
I'm going to pay the $90 and get the Supercross and Motocross season.
Well, you're going to want, you're going to want to watch your races. Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to watch them delayed, even though I watch most of my stuff delayed. Not to mention delayed, they'll be live, but they will be commercial free if I remember correctly as well.
If NBC sent me an email and said, James, we know you're a streamer. You don't get cable. You can't get any NBCSN or FS1 races right now.
Right.
Here is a package. You get every NASCAR race. It's $100 for the season. Here's all the access you get.
Yep.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. Yes.
I'm with you.
I would sign up for it.
I'm with you. It's especially if they were to take a little bit of what you get on TV away. Like if they took qualifying and some of the practice sessions off of TV, I would pay extra to get access to those, even if I 9 times out of 10 don't watch them.
Yeah.
Especially for NASCAR. I love Supercross, but NASCAR takes precedence over Supercross for me any day. Yeah. So,
plus you're putting it in the hands. The thing with Supercross too is its viewership sways young,
right?
Much younger than NASCAR even. And they are putting their races in the hands of their youth movement. Yep. It's going to be right on the phone, right there for anybody to watch anytime.
NASCAR needs this. NASCAR needs their races on your phone.
Yep.
And you can get that now if you use something like YouTube TV or whatever, or one of those streaming services, which is what I use.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's awesome. It's awesome to have it on my phone.
I bet you a lot of people don't know this, but if you're a Verizon customer, and you have a Verizon mobile device, whatever, if it's a phone, a tablet, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL gives you games for nothing.
Yep.
You can watch every game on your device.
Yep.
You can download the NFL app. You're a Verizon customer. Boom.
As long
Here's
as
your
it's a
game.
network
Here's
game.
all your games.
As long as it's a network game, you get access to it.
Why doesn't NASCAR do something like that?
I don't know. If the NFL's doing it, if the NFL is ahead of you when it comes to streaming rights, something is wrong.
Yes.
Because the NFL is terrible.
Oh, I know. And they
got rid of blackout rules this year with the streaming. Like, come on, even hockey hasn't done that yet. NFL is terrible.
One of the best digital presence out there is Major League Baseball, and they have nobody to watch it.
Yeah, right.
Everybody who watches baseball is 100 years old.
Oh, I know. I've sampled their app, the MLB TV.
Yeah, they have great stuff.
It's so good, but I just can't. Yeah. Like, why would I pay for it?
Sorry, baseball. We used to baseball, and I used to date in the mid 2000s, and we just had a mutual understanding.
I will go to any ballpark and check it out because being at a ballpark is awesome.
Yeah, being at a ballpark's fun, great. Yes.
But yeah, I can only do a couple. I've never.
I'm glad you brought this up because I actually did want to talk about this. So I'm glad we went down this road.
Yeah,
because I had seen it.
It needs to happen, man. NASCAR needs to get on this board, and I know they've got contracts and stuff in place, but they need to get out of those suckers as quick as possible and get this happening.
The next deals need to. And one thing that people aren't really talking about that's kind of sneaky under the radar with everything sports related is who's the tech company that's going to make a run.
Right. Because
NBC, Fox, CBS, all these companies that have games, whatever sport, Amazon's coming.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming for live games. It's going to happen. ESPN is looking over their shoulder. ESPN's actually been putting a pretty good game plan in place with a lot of their stuff. They're locking up a lot of long-term sports deals.
Right.
But the NFL is going to be coming up pretty soon, and we need to keep an eye on that because what happens with the NFL will set the trend for what happens next with NASCAR, NBA, everything.
Right.
And somebody in tech is going to get involved, and I don't know who, and I don't think anybody knows who, but Amazon, Apple, all these they are going to be players. Sports in 10 years are going to look completely different.
Apple's making a play for TV probably next year. And it's not sports, but it's TV. And there's talk that that's going to be free if you have an Apple device. Yeah. That's going to be big.
That's going to be huge. Yeah. And if they can buy into live events and people are watching live events on – because that's the real value of sports is it's live. You can't get sports anywhere else.
Right.
It's what HBO is still searching for now because they have one show – Game of Thrones that everybody tunes in for. It's a can't miss show. Yep. You can stream it any time, but that's the can't miss show. And all these streaming companies are looking for that. Well, it's hard to do it when you have just a standard TV show, but if you have live sports, you get that pop every week.
Yep.
And it's going to be huge. It's going to be a game changer. We just got to kind of keep our eye on.
Yeah, it's going to be a little painful here in the transition, that's for sure.
It is going to hurt, yeah.
You're going to have to pay for different services, and it's going to be more expensive at first. But
yeah, people are going to have to give up stuff. I mean, I've given up some stuff.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. You can't buy everything.
Right.
But
you can't, really? Don't tell my wife that, because I've been trying really hard to buy everything.
Whoever balances the checkbook, is the...
Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah, no, I let the wife take charge of the finances, not me.
Yeah.
I like to have too much fun, and it's not good.
Yeah, I don't necessarily let her take control of the checkbook, but if she didn't take control of the checkbook, we would be bankrupt.
Right.
I would have a lot of cool crap, James, but we would be broke.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about our top 5 picks, top 5 races of the 2018 season. That's the focus today, I guess. This is something that could go really fast, or it could take really long to go through. So
we're gonna. I'm gonna tell you right now, we're disagreeing on a few. So
okay, good.
It's gonna be good.
Good. So I don't know what yours are. You told me that we did it a certain way last year, and you kind of told me how we did it before we recorded, but I don't know what you said. So
yeah. So basically, if we have a race that's anywhere on our list, so if your number 5 is my number 1, for example, we're gonna whatever comes up. We're going to talk about it, and then we'll skip it when it's on my list, for that example.
So we would just want to start with 5 and go down?
Yeah, we'll start at 5, go down, talk about each race, And yeah, if they come up on our list, then we don't have to go back to it. But
All right, that works.
As long as each race is mentioned individually, that's on the list. Then yes.
Perfect. Okay. Do you want to go first then, since I got you first on the list?
I will let you go first
Okay.
because you actually have yours filled out on the show notes.
Right. Yeah, you know what I've got coming, so
Yeah.
you can prepare your arguments for these.
Yeah. I know what my number 1 is already.
Yeah.
I know what my 5 are, but I'll let you go first, and
Okay.
then we'll bounce around.
Well, my number 5 was tough. I actually did not have a number 5 until just before we started recording. I decided to throw this on there because I don't remember a ton of it. I just remember we were surprised how good of a race it was because we weren't expecting it. And that was the playoff opener at Las Vegas. Brad Keselowski gets the win. It turned into kind of a wreck fest. We had a lot of drivers struggle that were in the playoffs. And it was an entertaining race, I think is why I picked this one more so. We did have a green-white checker at the finish as well. Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano going for the win. But I thought it was an interesting race, especially for Vegas, which has at times been kind of a snoozer. Although since they've reconfigured that track, it's been pretty good. So,
yes.
Any disagreements on that, James, or did you have that on your list at all?
I don't have it on the list.
Okay.
But I just felt like that race was a great introduction for Vegas on its second date.
Yeah.
Just worked out really well. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, we were not very highly anticipating that race.
No, we weren't.
I mean, we were just like, oh, it's going to be Kevin Harvick and blah.
Yep.
But yeah, it was actually anytime we went to a mile and a half this past year, I feel like that's what our thoughts were. But that was actually a pretty good race.
Right. This is the only one for me that really is about the race and not just kind of the finish or the last quarter of it, I guess.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's the only one on the list for me like that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I was done.
I was just to say, I did pull up Jeff Gluck's good race. Was it a good race poll?
Okay.
Just for reference.
Dang, what a cheater.
I know. No. I wanted to use it for reference, just so for the people out there, because it's I love Jeff Gluck's. Was it a good race poll? So if anybody does not know about that, who's listening to this, I don't know, but go check it out. This is I believe it's number 10 on his the fans vote. It was 84% were happy with this race.
Nice.
So yeah, it's up there. It's up there.
Cool. I like that. Good.
Yeah.
All right. What's your number 5? I see it.
Yep. Number 5. I put it on the board. Austin Dillon, Daytona 500.
This is my number 3.
Yep. Eric's got this on his list. What a great finish to this race. The Daytona 500 is always exciting.
Right.
But the finish this year was spectacular. Eric Almirola in his first go out with the number 10 was for Stuart Haas. Looked like it was his. Got run down and run over by Austin Dillon. And then Austin Dillon gets the win. I didn't expect to put Austin Dillon on my top 5 of the season, but the Daytona 500 is usually pretty much a lock on the top 5 because it's always something's going down.
It's a special race too. It gets that for that reason.
Yeah, always has the pop for sure.
Yeah.
Any thoughts from you on the race? It's hard because that was a year ago now. You think about it.
Yeah, it's tough. I just remember, the excitement of not knowing any restrictor plate race, which is funny for me that this is the only restrictor plate race on my list. Any restrictor plate race, you don't know the finish until you get to the finish. And I think this one had kind of everything and really set us up for what an exciting year it was going to be in our minds, because we based a lot off of this race for some reason, despite the fact that this race is nothing like any of the other races. We had a young guy get the win, so now it's going to be the year of the young kids, and we were all excited about that. And it was a wild race, a lot of battling, and it's going to be a great competitive season. We're going to see lots of crashes, things like that, and none of that came to be either.
Yeah, a lot of things changed after this race.
Yeah,
we didn't know what to expect, and then
then Kevin Harvick happened.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that this was at a time when we didn't have the big 3, quote unquote. Right.
Yeah.
This is before the big 3 existed.
Yeah.
That's how long ago it was. But great win for Austin Dillon. Just to put it in perspective, it was just getting the 3 back in victory lane. 3rd Daytona 500 win for Childress. Just a cool thing to get back and get that 3 car back in victory lanes. It's I know a lot of people don't like that, but like Austin Dillon, that is. But
Right.
Another aspect of this is the Bubba Wallace.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Second place finish. Tears in his eyes after the race, and his mom telling him, "Baby, we won."
That was the other thing is, Bubba's going to have this great season. He's going to be amazing in that 43 car.
Yeah, we were skeptical a little bit. But
yeah,
it was. But yeah, what a great. What a great show of emotion from Bubba, and then the Denny Hamlin stuff. Him and Denny, it's all coming back to me now as I really remember it. Remember Denny Hamlin kicked him off the basketball league after that race?
Yep.
Just because the rough goes that they were having towards the end there, but just great. Daytona 500 is always great, and I always look forward to it, and can't wait for the next version, the 2019 version.
Number 7 on Jeff Gluck's poll this year.
It is number 7, yes.
So. My number 4 was Martinsville in the playoffs. I thought a lot of this came down to the finish with Logano bumping Truex out of the way and getting the win. Martinsville is one of those races that's just a good race. It wasn't, the barn burner that Martinsville often is.
Yes.
But it wasn't a wreck fest by any means, but it was exciting, especially toward the end. Finishing under the lights there is awesome. And just automatically gets it on the list for me. That Martinsville's. We run Martinsville twice a year. Martinsville's going to be on the top 5 list at least once.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Martinsville 2 is always Martinsville Fall, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's just been so great the last few years from when Jeff Gordon won in 2015. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's always there's so much on the line with the playoff format with this race because it's the first race that locks you into the Final Four.
Yep.
It really paid off for Joey Logano.
Yeah.
Remember, he had a terrible day at Phoenix, and it could have cost him his championship, although he was already locked in thanks to his Martinsville. And then the stuff with Truex, gosh, it's so great. Truex promising that he won the battle, he'll never win the war, he won't win the championship, and Truex had his chance and didn't.
Right.
didn't get it done.
See, and mine has nothing to do with who the players were at the end. I like a bump and run finish. I like a last lap pass. I like a couple guys mad at each other at the end of the race. This is the type of stuff that Martinsville provides us with usually. And I thought this was just to steal a Brian France word. This was a quintessential Martinsville race.
Yes. Yeah. It was quintessential, that's for sure.
And number 3 on your list, I see.
Yeah, it is number 3. Yeah, I just had to update it because I want to make sure I put it up there that we had it on there. I actually had to bump number 4 to number 6 because I remembered I was thinking about this a little bit.
Okay.
I was gonna go Watkins Glen at number 4 with Chase Elliott, but I'm gonna move that one back down.
Yeah, I forgot about that one, and I kind of wish you'd still had it on the list because I wanted to argue why I don't feel like it's a top 5. But go ahead and let's talk about Logano first.
Yeah, no. So Logano winning Homestead, it's just that's a huge moment, and it should be mentioned. And that the last 30 laps or so of that race were just as good as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
There was great late race restarts. It's the complete opposite of my number 5 because this is the most the most recent race. But I remember thinking, man, Kyle Busch has this championship. He's the restart king.
Right.
Logano just took it from him and took it from Truex too. I mean, it was just there was a number of chances, and I mean, just a great race. I can't believe I've got Logano on this list twice. But just Homestead is so important now with the championship. It's just a great race overall. But that race this year was just phenomenal.
I do not have Homestead on my list. However, could very easily swap in number 5.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like the race overall was great. I felt like once the sun went down, it was good. I mean, really, Homestead feels like that to me anyway. It's 2 races. It's almost like the Coke 600.
It is a race. Yeah. It's a marathon. It's a marathon.
The day race just usually doesn't do it for me, but the night race does there.
Yes. Yep.
So usually once we get to nighttime, it gets good. And just, I guess I'm looking at it more from a Homestead historically. I don't think it moved the needle like Homestead races of the past have. But it was a good race.
I do agree with you. I do agree with you. And if Truex does wreck Logano or does something,
yeah,
it's number one. It immediately jumps up.
Yes.
But
if anybody's fighting at the end of this sucker, I want it to happen one of these years, man. We need a fight in the final race of the playoffs.
We could have had it when Carl Edwards and Logano got into it.
I was so bummed that they weren't.
But Carl was the classy gentleman that he is. He took the high road. So, but yeah, I mean, congratulations to Joey Logano. And I know we try to look at these races in a whole, but really the way the race finishes is the biggest chunk of the pie. If the entire race, if we're looking at the entire race as a pie, that last chunk's 75% of the race. Whether it's the last 50 laps, 100 laps, whatever, you take the last portion of the race, and that's what means the most. And I thought this was pretty darn good. I mean, this was great racing for the championship on a great racetrack that usually hasn't really let us down since this Championship 4 format's been introduced. It's been fantastic.
Agreed. Let's see. It is way down. It's too far down the list for me to count on Jeff Gluck's.
Yeah, I didn't make it on Jeff Gluck's poll very high. It's it's 68% approval.
Yeah, which is interesting. I would rank it 6th on my list easily and possibly 5th.
Yeah, there's some ones on there that I would.
I'm really surprised over number 1 on Gluck's list, but.
Yeah, me too. And there was a lot of votes for number 1. That's not even on our list.
No,
but that was a great race. I mean, we can mention it. It's not on my list.
It's not.
It's Bristol. It's Bristol 2. Kurt Busch win.
It was a good race, and I remember because I went back. One of the ways I helped myself with this list is I went back and looked at show titles for us, and what we focused on, and the focus of this race, the show title, or at least in the notes, it was Bristol back, or is Bristol back. So it was a really good Bristol race.
I'm sure we've got this in our top 10.
Yeah,
7.
It's definitely top 10. It's probably in the top 8 for me.
Yeah, it's a great race.
Yeah,
great race overall. Even
Bristol 1 ranked really high on Gluck's list.
Bristol 1 was good too. Yeah, and for me, with my 3 and 4, there's so much on the line in the Martinsville race and the Homestead race. It's hard to put a race that's not a playoff race in anymore. Right.
I didn't even consider the All-Star race because I didn't feel like that was a.
I would never put that in my top 5.
Yeah, me neither. And that ranks pretty high on Gluck's list too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even consider it because I was thinking points races. So question, James, are our top 2 the same?
Our top 2 are the same.
Are they in the same order?
They are not.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you take it because your number 2 is my number 1.
All right. So these are both number 1s for us.
I want to hear your point.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do it this way. Let's give both of them because we agree on the top 2. We just don't agree on the order. So, and I have a reason for it, and you probably can guess what the reason is. So, number 2 for me, number 1 for you is Jimmy Johnson, Martin Truex at the Roval. Number 1 for me, number 2 for you is Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson battling at Chicagoland.
Slide job.
Yeah. So. My reasoning for this is pretty simple. I was at Chicagoland, got to be a part of the excitement around it.
Right.
Didn't technically witness the last lap because I was in an elevator coming out of the elevator watching on a TV. But still got to be part of the whole moment. Got to stand by the fences as Kyle got out of his car and, cried to the fans and all that stuff. And
he played the wrestling heel too.
Yeah,
perfect.
Got to ask Kyle a question after the race and all that stuff. So to me, it was more special because of that. And also, I think the reason that I ranked Chicagoland so high is that we had no expectations for this race.
No, that's true.
This race was going to be a dud. Nobody thought anything was going to happen. And it wasn't just the end because at the end of I can't remember if it was the first or second stage, we had Harvick passing Kurt Busch to win the stage.
And they were fighting about it. They were arguing on the radio.
Yeah, and it was a really interesting race all day long. This one ranks number 4 on Gluck's list, right behind the Roval on his list. So
1% different.
If I wasn't there, I would probably have ranked the Roval first. And go ahead and James, talk about why you said the Roval was number 1.
Yeah, the Roval was. Well, and you mentioned expectations,
right?
And the Roval was the highest expectations of the year for any race.
It was, but it wasn't because we also had that expectation, like when we went into Eldora, that this could be a complete crap show.
And we didn't know. Yeah, we didn't know what it would be, but we were excited.
Yes.
Right. That was the feeling going in.
Let's put it this way: it lived up to
Yes,
our
delivered.
best expectations and completely destroyed our worst expectations.
Yes, it is here to stay.
Yes.
After what we saw, and it wasn't the finish. And that's another debate maybe we can have in a few minutes here, was what was the better finish, because I think it could go either way. But it was just, there was so much happening during the race itself. Then Brad Keselowski, and there was just, great driving between Keselowski sliding it all over, and Larson, and it was, I remember that battle. If it's one of those things, you close your eyes, you can just see those guys going back and forth for the lead. But then Keselowski driving everybody off the cliff on that restart, and they all piling into turn one. Everything all the way down to Johnson taking out Truex, to Larson passing a dead Jeffrey Earnhardt on the, car was completely stopped dead, and Kyle Larson banging it off the wall and getting into the next round of the playoffs. The fact that it was an elimination race adds to it too. That was the one race this year where I was, don't bother me. This is what I am doing today. Sometimes I can get distracted for periods of time with some other stuff, but I'm like, today is strictly Roval. Don't bother me. This is what I'm watching.
You actually had me convinced as we were starting this that I was wrong and should have ranked them differently. And I've changed my mind. And let me defend my choice for number one again, which I know you're not going to argue with me much because both these were good races.
That's okay. No, these are both great. I mean, I'm glad that we basically, this is a tie for us.
It could go either way. But the reason that I feel that Chicagoland was the better race, there's a couple reasons. I guess the biggest reason for me, and we discussed this when we talked about the race, is that nothing about this race was manufactured. We didn't have a green-white checker at the end. We had a long run to the finish.
Yep.
We didn't have a new track. We didn't have something that the drivers at the Roval. The Roval was exciting because we'd never done it. So we didn't know what to expect. The drivers, I mean, that wreck with Brad Keselowski was all because those drivers didn't know what was going to happen when they went into that turn.
Yeah.
And that's what made it interesting. We had a late race restart there. We didn't have any of that at Chicagoland. Chicagoland was a completely organic race that created an excellent race all day and an excellent finish. Sure, there were things that, quote unquote, manufactured it in the weather and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it still was, it happened naturally and not forced, which I don't think the Roval was too forced, but this would be why I wouldn't rank something like the All-Star race on here, because the All-Star race was completely manufactured.
I'd say the Roval was completely organic as a race itself.
Yeah,
it's just the layout is your man.
It had the help of the newness in the track and the excitement and all that stuff. Sure. And again, I don't want to take anything away from the Roval because it was a spectacular race. I was glued to my TV the entire race. Normally, there's not a race like that where, other than a restrictor plate race, where I don't want to go to commercial because I don't want to leave the TV.
Yeah.
Even Chicagoland. Again, I was there. I was bored at times during Chicagoland, and I was at the track. So there was no boring moment in the Roval.
No.
So if you want to argue that as why it was a better race, then I get that. So
yeah, start to finish Roval, I think that's why I got number one. It's just start to finish, great race. And maybe this is where we have our argument. The finish itself was just absolutely bonkers.
I thought it was great though, because you're expecting Jimmy to go in there and take him out.
Yeah,
and he did, but not the way you would expect it. He did it because he screwed up. It wasn't because he was wrecking him to win, and then neither of them won.
I know.
It was almost
so much on the line for Jimmy Johnson. We didn't even say that Ryan Blaney won the race, by the way.
Exactly.
But that's probably the most forgotten part about the Roval.
Right. And I mean, like, you go back to the truck series at, I don't remember what road course it is, Mosport, I think, where Gregson wrecked Gilliland coming out of the corner, and they both spun out. Neither of them won the race. That was different because that's Gregson being overly aggressive and trying to bump him out of the way, whereas this was just Jimmy just screwing up, man.
Yeah, he just lost it.
And he didn't even take Truex out. Like, Truex was mad at him, but he wasn't aiming for Truex anything. It just happened that he ended up being in the spot at the wrong time and took him out. So I mean, it was. I loved the way the finish went. I thought it was great.
So much on the line for Johnson at that point. I mean, he could have just finished second and advanced in the playoffs, or he could have went for the win.
Yep.
In a season where he was his worst season of his career.
Yeah.
And he didn't get either because of the Kyle Larson aspect of this thing, where Larson should have probably won the race. He was right there, 1A, 1B with Keselowski for a long time. Ends up just driving a piece of junk like a video game off the walls,
right?
And advances in the playoffs. And there's that whole aspect of it. And it's just, I was just unbelievable. But, for me, I need to speak on Chicagoland just a little bit. That finish at Chicagoland was just perfect. You had the two perfect drivers for what ended up being, I will say it was the better finish. If I had to pick two finishes,
right,
Chicagoland is the best finish.
The only thing that hurts it is they weren't beating and banging to the line, but
yeah, they weren't banging doors all the way to the start finish line. But man, was it awesome going to the corner, and then Dale Jr. doing his thing, and it was just, I mean, it was
Dude,
just
I'm
great.
getting chills thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, Kyle Busch is not to be trifled with. Exactly. Exactly.
So good.
Kyle Busch is that one guy who's going to come right back at you.
Mm-hmm.
But
he didn't wreck him. He just hit him. He just
drove him in there.
Yep.
And they were both, and Kyle's banging off the wall and smoking it to the finish line, and yeah, it was just a great finish. That was probably the best finish I've seen since Stewart and Hamlin at Sonoma.
Yeah.
In 2016, that was one of my favorite finishes. But that Chicagoland finish took the cake.
It was pretty good, and I could have really thrown us for a loop and added Xfinity and Truck Series into this because there were some, especially the Truck Series.
Yeah.
There were some dang good. There were a couple better races in the Truck Series this year than any of these Cup Series races.
Yeah, that's usually the case. There's usually a truck race that really. I mean, the Eldora truck race.
I was going to say Eldora. I think Eldora ranks higher than Chicagoland. I mean, that was an excellent finish and an excellent race.
Yeah, it's just that you don't have the big name guys involved
right.
in it. It knocks them down a peg. But yeah, that was as good of a finish as anything we've had. That you could slot that in anywhere on these lists.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Back to Jeff Gluck's list. I thought it was interesting because I wouldn't consider this one of the most exciting years by any means, but we got some good percentages on was it a good race? I mean, you got Bristol was number one at 95%, which I think
that's his all-time high.
Yeah, it's all-time high. We had two races from this season were all-time highs, which beat a 2016 race from Dover. But if you look at the list, we went, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 races at 90% or more. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 races at 80% or more. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We had Kentucky Speedway at 23% down at the bottom, which
but
I was there and I agree with that.
Yeah, that was the worst one. But you've got Indianapolis up there at 73%.
You know, the sprinklers did come on at Kentucky though, so I think that should give it a couple percentage points.
Yeah, not enough to catch Texas 2 at 27%.
No, not
yeah,
quite.
that was brutal. That Texas race was what I like to call a fate worse than death experience. Kevin Harvick smoked him, and then the only thing interesting was the penalty afterwards. That was, ugh.
How high did Atlanta rank on here? Yeah, pretty far down too. Yeah,
Atlanta's Harvick.
I can't believe Michigan 1 ranked as low as it did because I thought Michigan was a good race, the first one, because of the rain.
Yeah, Michigan. Well, that's probably part of it too.
Right. Yeah, people don't like a rain.
Michigan 1 was a good race, though. Michigan 1 was a good race, but they're all over 50%. I mean,
yeah, true. So. All right. Anything else we need to hit on with this list, James?
No. I'm pretty happy with our top 5s. I'm glad I think we've got a pretty diverse set in there. I think the only race missing really is Watkins Glen. I'd
give Watkins Glen an honorable mention. Maybe Bristol 2. I don't know. I don't think Bristol 2 is worth considering for this list, though. I think Watkins Glen is.
Yeah, Bristol 2. There wasn't really a whole lot online. It's just a great race.
Yeah, it was cool to see Kurt Busch win the race, and I mean, his hairdo at the end of the race was pretty good, so that might give it a couple of percentage points. But
he's got that Bloomquist thing going on or something. What he's doing.
Yeah. So, and it's so funny that Kurt's a fan favorite now.
He's reached that.
What happened, man?
Johnson's in that zone though too.
I know.
They eventually
Can you
become
imagine
the
how
old guys.
crazy everybody will be when Jimmy Johnson wins another race? It's gonna happen.
I know everybody's gonna go nuts, and Jeff Gordon did the same thing. He was a villain for a long time, and he entered the old guy phase. Whenever that switch flips, they enter old guy phase. The only guy I can think of that it never happened for was Tony Stewart because of some of the stuff that happened.
Right. Yeah.
He never really got the old guy phase. He had a nice win at Sonoma that we had mentioned, but other than that, he never had his moment. But
right. Let's do this. I'm gonna throw this out there right now. We'll tease it for next, even though you and I haven't talked about it. We're gonna do a predictions episode next.
Yes,
we're gonna throw out some predictions. Maybe do like a top 5 predictions of the 2019 season. Not go so far as to pick playoffs and all that stuff. We're gonna save that for.
We'll think will happen. Like we'll go on record and say this is going to happen.
Yeah, such as the Matt DiBenedetto thing, for example. That something like that could be on there. So maybe we'll do like top 5 predictions for the season. So
then we'll hold me to it.
Yeah, there you go. So watch for that coming. Anything else, James? We need to hit on before we head on out of here.
How was your Christmas? I think people are interested in other people with young kids and their Christmas.
Christmas was pretty good.
Because it's insane.
Yeah.
I have reached the stage. My daughter's now 2.
Yeah, she appreciates it now, right?
Yeah, and it's insane.
Yeah.
This year has been insane.
Yeah. Ours are pretty into it and get pretty excited. We do the Santa tracker the night or on Christmas Eve, and it stresses them out. We usually have to shut it off about 9:30 because they start getting really worried because Santa starts getting close.
They're not like their dad at all.
Right? So they'll start getting stressed out and then they can't sleep. So this year they were sleeping by 9:45 this year, which was pretty impressive. Last year I think it was like 11:30 before they finally fell asleep. So
here's the big question: do you guys do Elf on the Shelf?
No, we don't do Elf on the Shelf. We do not. We do not have a shelf elf.
Oh my God! So we did Elf on the Shelf this year, and I had a lot of fun this year. But I have a feeling it's going to become my burden.
I don't want to open that can of worms.
It's a lot of fun, especially when you do funny things like, have him rifling through the dog treats or stick him in a container because kids aren't allowed to touch the Elf on the Shelf. That's the big thing. So I heard this story on a podcast I listened to that the dad was really sick of his kids playing on their tablets. So he stacked up all of the tablets and devices and set the elf on top of them.
That's awesome.
And it threw the kids into a whole tizzy. So at some point, I'm going to remember that for Ellie.
I think my dog would eat the elf on the shelf. We would have to put the elf where the dog couldn't get to the elf because Bella would eat the elf.
It could become a problem. It's fun right now when she's 2, but it could become a problem.
Yeah, I don't see that. We're trying to avoid the elf on the shelf as much as possible.
Yeah, don't get into it.
We don't do Christmas at our house. We do it at my parents' house. So we stay down there on Christmas Eve, and then they get up and open gifts there. Santa comes there. So we didn't even put a Christmas tree up until the Sunday before Christmas. So
fantastic. That's great.
It was. We've just been so busy. We're never home. We're always running around to something else. So, but
my wife worked at the world's largest Christmas store. For those listening,
yeah.
I'll let you guys Google that and figure out where that's at.
Yeah, your wife has got to be like Buddy the Elf, right? Is she like?
She's kind of like Buddy the Elf, but I think the fact that we are so busy being parents and everything else that we have to do, and then my daughter's birthday is the week before Christmas.
Right.
And
yeah, that was some poor planning.
Holy smokes! Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, I had the conversation, but it didn't. It's just one of those things. Like, it's just crazy, and we actually toned it down on the decorations this year, which I think breaks her heart, but makes me a gleeful person inside.
So yeah, I guess that's the question. Like, I think if I worked at a Christmas store year round, I would be so sick of Christmas that when it came, I would be like, I don't even want to deal with it. So is your wife not like that? She's all in?
No, she loves Christmas. No, she's all in.
Well, I guess she's working the right job then.
But they don't like listen to Christmas music in where the office employees.
It's a Christmas store though. Come on.
Well, I know. I mean, she's working on Christmas stuff all year long.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. She basically is an elf.
She is. She is Santa's helper.
There you go.
We did take my daughter to see Santa this year.
Yeah.
And as an employee of the world's largest Christmas store, you get private Santa stuff, which is very cool concept. However, Santa is very scary when you're 2, and scares me to this day. I never wanted to sit on a man's lap in my life. So lots of tears, and she did better this year than last year, but still, it's a whole thing.
If you really think about it, though, like how much time do we spend teaching our kids to stay away from strangers?
Yeah, and then you just say, hey, here's this stranger who's going to give you candy and toys.
Right, and you're going to sit on his lap.
Yes.
And not be upset.
The opposite of what you are teaching them.
Yeah, it's really, really poor.
Oh, it's just...
But anyway.
I'm waiting for the PC police to put an end to Santa like they've tried to do with everything else in 2018. So
yeah, let's not get into that. God, I don't even want to go there.
On that note, that is the end of episode 90.
There you go.
We may see you again for episode 90.
Yeah, that would be a good way to make sure we don't make it to 100, James. I see what you're doing. Yeah.
Keep coming after the PC police.
You're trying to win that bet.
Yes. Well, if I wanted to win that bet, I'd take on NASCAR social media, which I'm going to save.
You're going to save that one? Okay.
I'm going to save it because I am still too angry.
All right. Any shout outs you got, James, other than NASCAR social media?
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Braun Burt, keep doing what you're doing, and Happy New Year to everybody. Because I've been on shutdown mode for a while. So
I have a shout out, and I wish I had it in front of me to say who it is, but there was somebody on Reddit that posted a diecast that they had custom made that they got this week, and it is Kyle Busch's paint scheme, the Toyota Skittles car, with the number 3 Dale Earnhardt style on the side of it. And anybody who has not only the guts to get that made, but to post it on social media is my hero.
Oh my God. This is my NASCAR social media pet peeves.
That's awesome, man. I'll tell you what, though, like the Dale Earnhardt fans that don't love Kyle Busch, seriously, guys, do you not see the resemblance?
Kyle Busch is going to hit old man age before he knows it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Kyle's a much bigger whiner. Kyle's kind of like Rusty and Dale combined, because Rusty was more whiny. He wasn't the tough guy like Earnhardt was.
Yeah, Kyle Busch is the wrestling heel.
Right.
Forever and always will be the wrestling heel. And sometimes he forgets he's the wrestling heel, but sometimes he's really good at it.
Yeah.
But I think this year he really embraced his inner heel.
But Kyle's got the Earnhardt talent, and he's got the Earnhardt bad boy. He's just more of a kid about it. But and maybe he'll eventually grow into that role and be more of an adult. But I don't understand how you could be an Earnhardt fan and not be a Kyle Busch fan. I just don't get it. And speaking of Earnhardt, I already mentioned it. Check out Dale Jr.'s podcast where he's got Jeff Gordon on there. There's some great stories about Dale Sr. on there if you're into that thing. I know a lot of people get sick of Chocolate Myers talking about him on Sirius, but I don't. I wasn't an Earnhardt fan, but I love hearing the Earnhardt stories because the guy was pure entertainment, I'll tell you. And I'm maybe not to those who lived around him, but the stories are so good from that era, and Earnhardt is the epitome of that era. So
this when men were really men back then. They were just gritty and, I mean, worked on a farm and just
right. There's a lot of talk on there about the rivalry between Earnhardt and Gordon talks about how they'd be at Daytona or Talladega or something, and Earnhardt would come off the turn and he'd take it 3 wide, knowing darn well he couldn't make the move, knowing it was going to hurt him, but just doing it because it would get the fans excited, and that's what he was about, and knowing he could make it back up later. It's just like, that's the type of stuff you just don't have now. And I don't know if you could get away with that stuff now anyway, because the competition's so much greater than it was back then. But
yeah, everything's so specialized now. It's not even, I don't even know who could pull it off.
Right. Sometimes we eulogize people after they die, and some stories become more legend than truth. But I don't feel like that's the case with a lot of these Earnhardt stories. I feel like a lot of these are pretty legit.
No, there's a handful of guys where the stories, they
hold up.
Yeah, like Michael Jordan stories are very similar to Dale Earnhardt stories. Like ultra competitive, they hold up.
Yeah.
Like
when there's video evidence of Earnhardt leaning out of his window at I think it was Richmond, cleaning his windshield, as he's coming off pit road or under caution. I mean, if that's documented, that there's some truth to these stories that people tell.
Yeah, I could listen to Earnhardt stories, or like I've read a chapter of a book on Michael Jordan playing cards and it getting so competitive that people were actually had to leave the room.
Yeah.
Like, I love that kind of stuff. It's great.
Like Darrell Waltrip wrote a book, and Darrell's book is great. The stories are excellent, but he pretty much up front in the beginning of the book says that some of these might be a little embellished because that's just what happens to stories. But
that's true.
And with Darrell, I believe that probably there's some stretched truth to those stories. But the Earnhardt story is told by so many people. I don't see that. I feel,
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's documented in the Bible now.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right, James, where can they find you on social media if they want to hit up with you during the off season?
Yeah, at James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway or at Eric8199 on Twitter. As James said, the social media landscape, I've pretty much been avoiding the NASCAR social media. So if you want to hit me up at Eric8199. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is www.thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast, show notes, other stuff we've done throughout the year. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. If you like what we do and you want to become a part of it, you want to help us get to some tracks, I'm working right now, guys, on the schedule for 2019. I've got hotel rooms booked. So if you want to see me get to some tracks and get some more coverage and get up close and get you some stuff, some exclusive stuff, hit us up on Patreon, become a patron at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. Anything else, James?
That'll do her.
So it's the off season, but there's still plenty of racing to do. So everybody, let's go racing. And where is it? There's the exit.